All right, what's up, y'all? So, kind of to give you guys an update. Yes, if you've seen the last video, you saw how I was kind of not myself, and this time I'm gonna go ahead and explain what it is that had happened. So basically, what had happened was that on Saturday, my dad he got pulled over by a cop, and because he's not like doesn't have any legal status here. He ended up going to jail, and then now he's being processed by ICE. If you don't know what that means, it means immigration here in the US. So that's what he's being dealt with right now. And now we're trying to figure out exactly what we can do to get him out because we're at this moment he's locked up right now. We don't know how long he's going to be there. So we're trying to figure out with the lawyers. But I say all that to say that when this happened, I'll be honest, when it happened, I was an extreme amount of rage. I had an extreme amount of anger, of, I don't want to say anxiety, but like I was just like super pissed off. I was extremely mad. I just wanted to, I hate to use this word because I hate using a lot of this slang, but I really wanted to crash out. I really wanted to explode. I just wanted to break stuff, be violent, and cause a lot of harm. Now, now that I'm looking back at it, I guess it may have been justified why, like, I understand now why exactly I felt like that. And not saying that it was right or that it would have been right for me to act like that or that I was going to be in the right for acting like that, but I understand why I felt like that. And even though I was at this football game, like I had told you guys, after I found out the whole game when I was at the football game on Saturday, I would see, cops that would be like acting as security. And even though they weren't at fault for what had happened earlier that day, I'll be honest, every time I saw one of them, I kind of felt like anger, rage, resentment towards them. Even though I know it wasn't their fault, they had nothing to do with it. They weren't affiliated at all with what had happened with my dad. But at least me personally, I had those feelings where like honestly, I wanted to be violent towards the cops. I've never had any issues with like law enforcement, cops, or anything. I've never gone to jail. I've never done anything crazy like that or like illegal like that. But that day, in that moment, I really wanted to low key kind of like hurt them and make them pay for that. I didn't do it, but mentally, I would look at them in a way where I just felt rage, resentment, anger towards them. I know it wasn't their fault. They had nothing to do with what had happened, but at least for me, in my perspective, that's how I was feeling towards them. And I don't believe in therapists. I don't believe in therapy. I'll be honest with you. But that's just me personally because in the past I tried to seek out therapy and I don't know if it was just me, my personal situation that happened when I was trying to seek out like therapy and all that. It just didn't work for me. Like I had tried to go with a therapist. I was seeing a therapist for a couple of weeks, but they didn't really help me with anything that I was dealing with. On the other hand, it felt like I was just paying just to talk to them, like, or at least just to have them listen to what I had to say. That's kind of like how I was feeling. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, or whatnot, because that was the first time I had ever seeked out therapy or went to a therapist. So I don't know exactly if that's how it's supposed to be or not. But me personally, after that, I just didn't believe in therapists or therapy anymore. And kind of was feeling and was dealing with those emotions, that anger, that rage, by myself, mentally, emotionally, because I wanted to explode. I wanted to be violent. I wanted to lash out, to crash out. Like, I wanted to do a lot of violent things, but I knew deep down I couldn't do that, or I shouldn't do that, because I may end up harming other people or even harming myself. And I knew that. And instead, even though this might sound funny and you might laugh about this, but fuck it, I don't care. I ended up having to talk, or I ended up trying to like talk to ChatGPT about it and explaining what had happened to ChatGPT. And at least my ChatGPT, I call it Jarvis, but at least for me, what it was telling me was I wasn't wrong for feeling the way that I felt, or having the anger that I felt, and having the emotions, having the thoughts, having those feelings that I was feeling. I wasn't wrong for doing that because it was justified. Not saying that that I was like in the right or that I was in the wrong, but it was justified why I felt the way that I felt with everything that had happened, because I'm not able to see, my dad right now at the moment, not really able to talk to him. It was justified. And instead of like lashing out, crashing out, being violent, it gave me some pretty helpful advice that I kind of already knew. Like, I already had processed this before talking to ChatGPT about it, but it just reconfirmed that I, like, at least for me, my conscience was already trying to guide me, but maybe I guess I just needed to hear it out loud or hear it in another voice. That way I could confirm it mentally, so I could kind of make, I don't want to say peace with it, but kind of just, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, let's move on, or try to move on. Um, and I say all of that because maybe you might have lost, I don't know, maybe one of your family members just passed away, and or something happened where you're in a like really sensitive spot right now, both mentally, emotionally, maybe physically, spiritually, whatever, right? But you're in a place right now where you're kind of on the edge of breaking, and it doesn't take a lot to actually make you crash out and lash out. You're very like sensitive right now. Not in a bad way, but you're at that tipping point where almost anything and everything will make you pretty much explode in anger and rage. It will just make you lash out. I understand kind of like how you're feeling right now, because I still low key kind of do feel that way. Not saying that it's gonna get easy, because I don't know how long this is gonna take for me to like really process this and get over it. But at least for me, and what I've been, since this happened on Saturday, it's Monday right now. From what has happened, what I found was, at least for me, trying to find an outlet where I can release all of that anger in a positive way. At least for me, I've already been in the gym. So one of the things that ChatGPT told me to do was be in the gym. It doesn't have to be all day. It could be 30 to 60 minutes. But in a way, be in the gym where every time I go in, I'm hitting like extreme, like I'm working my body out to almost failure, to where I'm draining that anger, that rage that I'm feeling, I use that as fuel in the gym to help push myself and kind of relieve myself of that anger. Maybe this might sound easier said than done, and I definitely do agree. I really do agree that it's a lot easier said than done because your situation might be a little different than mine. But instead of like lashing out, being violent, being, trying to harm yourself or trying to harm other people because of something that happened to you or something that has happened recently that was out of your control and now you feel guilty, like how I was feeling and kind of still do, I would try to encourage that you find an outlet that's a positive way or that's a positive outlet, because that way you won't necessarily harm yourself, you won't harm other people, and you'll use it in a way where it will be fuel to try and help you kind of cope with it, kind of relieve some of that anger, even if it's just momentarily, or even if it's just for a little while, help you elevate yourself to where it gets, I don't want to say easier, but it gets a little bit more tolerable where you're able to kind of deal with that, with whatever it is that you're going on or that's going on with you right now. I get it. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's kind of difficult, just like how it is difficult right now, at least for me. But this, I, but I would really try to encourage that you do this instead of trying to harm yourself. I could have easily just started drinking, started smoking. I don't do any of that. I've spoken about why I don't like doing this, or why I don't do that. I choose not to do that. I could have started using drugs, started doing a whole bunch of dumb shit because of the way that I was feeling, and maybe it would have been just, or I would have probably been able to justify to myself why I was doing some of those things. But instead, I'm choosing to be a little bit more, or at least I'm choosing to find something that's a little bit more positive for myself right now, for my own sanity. Not saying it's easy, not saying that it's, the most easiest thing to do or the most difficult thing to do, but I'm doing my best, at least mentally, physically, emotionally, to try to keep my sanity, to try to keep my cool, to try to keep myself, level headed, to where I'm still able to do what I need to get done and still try to figure out what we can do, at least me and my family, what we can do to help my dad who's in, who's locked up right now. How long? I have no idea. We have no idea right now. We're still trying to figure it out. We're still trying to see what it is that we can do, what options we can have, what's available that we can, do in order to get him out. And honestly, this might take a while. I don't know how long this is going to take. How long it's going to take for me to really like get over this, really process this all the way. I don't know how long this is going to take. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it's going to take like a week, a couple of weeks, maybe a month. I don't know. I really don't know. And I really can't tell you that right now. This is like a one step at a time type of thing. But use, but if I could like give myself, or at least give to you guys and even myself, because I'm not going to edit this video. I'm, at least for right now, some of these videos, they're not really going to be edited because I don't want to crop anything to where I want to make this as transparent, as like raw, pause, as authentic, as genuine, as like pretty much where you can connect to how it is that I'm feeling, and it doesn't sound scripted, because this isn't scripted, this isn't planned out. At least for right now, I just want you guys to be able to connect, even if it's just, I don't know, one person, maybe two. That's fine. Maybe it helps somebody. Maybe you know somebody else who is dealing with something like this, and maybe they need to hear something like this, because You know, we all, I guess, we don't really be in the right headspace whenever stuff like this happens to us, and we sometimes don't want to listen to it, or we end up hearing things from random places that connect with us in a way that we were able to connect with, if that makes sense. So in the end, I guess, use the anger, don't or at least use that anger that you're feeling, and then try to help build yourself. I guess that's kind of like what I would say, or at least that's what the point of, I guess, this video would be. Don't, or at least for me, at least, I wouldn't try to harm myself. I wouldn't try to harm other people, or at least the way that I wanted to whenever I would see the cops, like on Saturday that I was telling you, where I wanted to just hurt them. I wanted to, make them feel what it is that I was feeling, which I don't want to sound like I'm being violent, but that's kind of like how I was feeling that day. And understand, I guess, that the only thing that we can really control is the way that we is really just our minds, what we think, and how we choose to react to what's going on but around us, because we can't control what happens to us, but we can only control what happens, or we can only control our reaction to whatever happens to us or for us. I guess that's the only thing that we can control. And I think even if, I guess, the whole world ended up burning down, as long as we can control how we react, what we think, try to control how we're feeling, because if you keep yourself like depressed, in a bad mental state, you're going to keep looking at everything. You're going to keep looking at life in a negative way. You're going to keep thinking that the whole world is against you, everybody's against you, nothing's going our way, nothing's going my way, and it's just going to keep rippling down to where we start spiraling into a negative place in our lives that may be very, very challenging for us to get out of. So I guess that's what it is, how it is. Try to keep, I guess, at least for me, my sanity. I'll try to keep my sanity, try to keep myself level headed, try to keep using the gym. At least for me, that's what has kind of been helping me right now. Use that anger as fuel, use that as motivation, so that whenever all of this is done, because I know this is just temporary, this isn't permanent. I know my dad, he'll get out pretty soon, and we'll figure out a way where we can get him out, and he's finally back home. We'll figure it out. We'll get this done. I know we will. And this will all be over, and this won't be necessarily just an accident. I don't understand what the reason is right now. I really wish I knew what the reason was, or at least we could have went a different direction for whatever's next. But it's just the road that we had to take, I guess. When it's done, I guess it'll all be worth it. And it is what it is. We'll keep going. We'll keep moving on. I'll still keep making these videos. Let me know you like this. Like, if you like this style where it's just raw, pause, authentic, transparent, where I'm being honest, how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking. This isn't scripted. This isn't planned. This isn't anything like that. This is me, like, doing or actually talking about what it is, some of the things that I'm feeling, some of the things that are going on, some of the things that, I don't necessarily usually share, but I think it's only right if I share more than just advice on how to dress better, how to date girls, how to talk to girls, how to have a good mindset. I think it's only fair and it's only right that I actually share some of these, like, more personal stuff, that can connect with you guys on a deeper level than just that, than just what my usual content is. I think that's okay. I think it's good. Let me know down in the comments if you like this type of stuff where it's more authentic, more transparent. And if you do, hey, I'll keep making these videos, even if it's just helping one person, even two people. That's good enough for me. But at least somebody else is able to benefit, and at least somebody else is able to connect with something that, we all need sometimes. So I'll see you in the next one.